The world is talking about massive construction projects. America's high-speed rail, futuristic megacities in the Middle East, they're all making the headlines. But elsewhere, things are happening more quietly and on a much crazier scale. Welcome to China, where ideas that once belonged to science fiction are being built into the landscape at full scale. Multi-story cities, endless bridges across the sea, roads across deserts, underground hotels, even structures that listen for signals from space. So how fast are they building? And where will these structures take our future? Let's find out. Built directly onto steep mountain slopes where the Yangtze and Jilin rivers collide, this megacity required vertical architectural solutions. The rugged terrain forces roads and bridges to stack in layers, creating a three-dimensional labyrinth where a street entrance often leads to the 10th floor of a skyscraper. The geography leaves no room for traditional urban planning. At Liziba Station, extreme space constraints birthed a radical engineering solution. With no room to route the transit line around a residential complex, engineers drove the track straight through the center of it. The monorail glides directly into the belly of a 19-story apartment building. Specialized insulation and noise reduction technology allow residents to live just meters from the tracks without feeling the vibration. This drive for technical innovation extends to the city's industrial sector. Chongqing now stands as a primary hub for advanced robotics development. Research centers here are mass-producing humanoid machines and industrial automatons, equipping them with real-time vision systems and sensors to perform complex tasks alongside human workers. This is not just manufacturing, it is a glimpse into the next industrial revolution. In these smart factories, robotic arms move with a synchronized, terrifying precision, welding and assembling components 24 hours a day without fatigue. Kong-Zhuhai Macau Bridge. Spanning 55 kilometers or 34 miles, it stands as the longest sea-crossing system ever constructed. The sheer scale creates an optical illusion where the tarmac seems to run straight into the horizon, vanishing into the curvature of the Earth. The structure consumes enough steel to build 60 Eiffel Towers, designed to withstand super typhoons and earthquakes. The most surreal moment of the crossing occurs near the middle of the Lingdingyang Channel. To allow massive container ships to pass, the bridge does not climb over them, it dives underneath. The highway plunges off an artificial island into an undersea tunnel nearly 7 kilometers or over 4 miles long, running 40 meters, about 130 feet, below the seabed before resurfacing on another man-made island. Instead of slowly piling up sand, engineers drove massive steel cylinders into the seabed to outline the islands, then filled them in. This technique minimized the disturbance to the ocean floor, protecting the habitat of the local white dolphins. Viewed from the air, the bridge curves like a silver snake, stitching together 3 different economic zones into a single megalopolis. In the dense urban fabric of Shanghai, this complex rises like a man-made mountain. The structure is not defined by steel walls, but by vegetation. More than 1,000 structural columns extend outward, each supporting a living tree acting as a planter. It breaks the monotony of the grey skyline, creating a hanging gardens of Babylon effect that changes colors with the seasons, blending brutalist concrete with organic life. Each of the massive concrete planters contains an automated irrigation system buried within the column, ensuring the forest survives the urban heat island effect. As the trees mature, the building's silhouette will disappear further under the canopy, challenging the definition of what a skyscraper should look like. It is architecture acting as a lung for the city. Before the twisting towers and aerodynamic apertures, this structure set the standard. The tiered facade mimics the rhythm of a traditional Chinese pagoda, stretched vertically into chrome and glass. The internal atrium spirals upward like a golden tunnel, creating one of the most dizzying architectural volumes ever enclosed within a skyscraper. The spiraling geometry draws the eye down 88 floors, creating a kaleidoscope effect. It is a building that commands respect not just for its height, but for its intricate detailing, combining stainless steel, glass, and granite to create a texture that feels timeless. In Guangzhou, two separate buildings merge to form a continuous three-dimensional loop. Viewed from above, the complex traces the mathematical symbol for infinity. There are no dead ends here. The layout encourages constant movement through curving corridors and connecting bridges, abandoning traditional walled-off offices for a layout that physically embodies the concept of limitless flow. The facade is covered in perforated aluminum panels that provide shade while allowing light to filter through, mimicking the dappled sunlight of a forest canopy. Smart sensors monitor the internal temperature and air quality, adjusting the building's skin automatically. "11 spheres of varying sizes are strung vertically along 3 columns, evoking the poetic image of pearls dropping onto a jade plate. Its retro-futuristic design, glowing in neon pinks and purples, remains the visual anchor of the Bund, marking the starting point of the city's rapid transformation. Visible from every corner of the river, it acts as a neon lighthouse, separating the colonial architecture of the past from the sci-fi forest of the future, serving as the enduring needle that stitches these two eras together. In Wuhan's Optics Valley, the commute resembles a scene from a cyberpunk film. This is the Photon, a suspended monorail that hangs beneath its track rather than riding on top. The sleek carriages glide silently above congested roadways and artificial lakes, offering a 270-degree view of the city infrastructure. The interior features floor-to-ceiling glass panels and transparent floors, creating the visceral sensation of floating in mid-air. Fully autonomous, the train operates without a driver, accelerating to 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour. It turns routine public transit into a low-altitude flight, weaving through the urban canopy with a futuristic, weightless aesthetic. Because the train utilizes a permanent magnet levitation technology in its suspension system, friction is minimized, reducing energy consumption significantly compared to traditional subways. Spanning the Yangtze River, this structure stands as the largest hydroelectric power station in history. The concrete barrier stretches 1.4 miles across and rises 600 feet from the valley floor, creating a reservoir visible from low Earth orbit. The sheer mass of the water held behind this wall is mind-bending. Scientists estimate that the shift in mass created by the reservoir is significant enough to marginally slow the rotation of the planet, lengthening a day by a fraction of a microsecond. It is one of the few man-made objects that essentially hacked the physics of the Earth itself. During peak discharge, the spillways release violent jets of water that rival natural waterfalls in volume, spraying mist hundreds of feet into the air. 34 massive generators embedded within the wall produce a combined capacity of 22,500 megawatts, powering millions of homes. Before this barrier existed, the Yangtze was a wild, unpredictable dragon, responsible for devastating floods that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives over centuries. Today, the water surface is calm, almost glass-like, hiding the immense pressure pushing against the concrete. It represents the ultimate triumph of static engineering over dynamic chaos. In Chengdu, one of the world's most luxurious retail hubs is virtually invisible from the street. SKP Park submerges its entire commercial volume underground. The surface level remains a dedicated botanical garden, blending high-end retail with dense public greenery. The visual anchor of the complex is the Tower of Vitality, a cluster of massive lantern-like structures rising from the sunken plaza. During the day, they function as fountains. At night, integrated lighting transforms the cascading water into glowing, bioluminescent sculptures. Walking here feels like traversing two different planets. Above, the sound of rustling leaves and birdsong dominates the park. But descend a single escalator and you are transported into a subterranean realm of polished steel, mirrors, and avant-garde fashion. Suspended 565 meters, equivalent to 1,854 feet above the Beipan River, this structure holds the title of the highest bridge in the world. You could place the Empire State Building entirely underneath the deck, and its antenna would still not touch the passing cars. Connecting two mountainous provinces, the cable-stayed design eliminates a treacherous 4-hour detour, reducing it to a 1-hour drive across the clouds. Construction in this limestone gorge was a logistical nightmare. Engineers had to shoot a guide cable across the chasm to establish the first connection. Every steel beam and cable stay had to be positioned with millimeter precision, all while suspended over a drop that would turn a falling object into a terminal velocity projectile. "30 kilometers, or about 19 miles, from central Shanghai, a massive scar in the earth has been transformed into an architectural paradox. This is the world's first earth scraper, built entirely within the walls of an abandoned, water-filled quarry. Instead of rising upward, the structure clings to the vertical cliffs, plunging 88 meters, or nearly 290 feet, below the surface. Standing on the balcony, guests look up at the ground level rather than down at it. The surrounding cliffs, once jagged and barren, have been reinforced and covered in greenery, creating a hanging garden effect that softens the brutalist concrete structure. A glass waterfall atrium cascades down the center, mirroring the rugged rock face. Of the 18 floors, 16 are subterranean. The bottom 2 levels sit completely underwater, housing suites and a restaurant immersed inside a saltwater aquarium. Construction required over a decade of geoengineering to stabilize the precipice and install flood control pumps capable of withstanding seasonal typhoons. Deep in the karst depressions of Guizhou, a colossal silver eye stares unblinking into the cosmos. This is the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, the largest and most sensitive radio telescope on the planet. Built inside a natural sinkhole to shield it from electromagnetic noise, the dish is so massive that walking around its rim takes 40 minutes. To ensure absolute radio silence, 5-kilometer or 3-mile zone around the dish is strictly controlled. No cell phones, no digital cameras, and no Wi-Fi signals are allowed. Even the cars driving nearby must be diesel-powered to avoid the electromagnetic spark plugs of gasoline engines. Its mission is purely scientific, yet profoundly eerie, to detect hydrogen in distant galaxies and listen for faint signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. It is sensitive enough to pick up a cell phone signal from Jupiter. This building forms a perfect figure 8, a symbol of wealth in local culture. Standing 138 meters or 453 feet tall, it is the world's tallest circular building. The structure features 50-meter or 164-foot wide hole punch through its center, creating a giant jade disc clad in golden glass. It completely abandons the traditional vertical logic of skyscrapers for pure geometric symbolism. The circular shape serves a dual purpose. Beyond its cultural luck, the aerodynamic profile allows wind to flow around the curved edges far more smoothly than it would against a flat, rectangular face. This reduces the wind load on the structure, making it incredibly stable, despite its hollow core. It is a rare instance where feng shui principles and structural physics arrived at the exact same conclusion. The Taklamakan is known as the Sea of Death, a shifting ocean of sand where dunes can bury a building overnight. Yet, engineers paved a 500-kilometer or 310-mile highway directly across its heart. Building on sand is hard. Keeping the road from disappearing is harder. To fight the environment, a massive green wall was constructed. Millions of drought-resistant shrubs flank the asphalt, irrigated by a vast network of pipes pumping high-salinity groundwater from deep beneath the dunes. It is a thin ribbon of life and logistics cutting through one of the most hostile landscapes on Earth, connecting resources that were once unreachable. Rising from the south bank of Taihu Lake, the structure abandons the vertical shape of traditional hotels. Known locally as the Horseshoe, the building forms a 27-story torus, a massive ring that appears to be partially submerged. The architectural genius lies in its reflection. When viewed from across the water, the curved structure and its mirrored image combine to form a perfect, luminous oval. At night, the hotel transforms into a light sculpture. The entire aluminum and glass facade is embedded with LED strips that can display animated textures, turning the building into a glowing moon floating on the dark water. Building a 27-story ring on the soft, muddy banks of a lake required driving concrete piles nearly 100 meters, or 328 feet, deep into the earth. The outer skin is covered in layers of fine, textured white aluminum rings and glass, giving it a texture that feels almost like fish scales. This complex layering allows the building to withstand the humidity and winds off the lake without corroding. Piercing the clouds above the Lujiazui Financial District, this is the definitive super-tall skyscraper. Standing 632 meters, staggering 2,073 feet high, it ranks as China's tallest building and the third tallest structure on Earth. But height is not its most impressive feature. Its survival strategy is to withstand the typhoon force winds that batter Shanghai. The entire tower twists 120 degrees as it rises. This spiral design helps disperse wind, reducing structural load by 24% and saving millions of dollars in steel. The tower is wrapped in a double-layer glass skin, creating huge atrium sky gardens between the inner and outer walls that act as thermal buffers. The tower is equipped with the world's fastest elevators, traveling at a staggering 18 meters or 59 feet per second. Your ears pop as you rocket from the street to the 118th floor in just 55 seconds. Near the summit, a 1,000-ton mass damper was adjusted, a giant weight suspended, silently in the shadows, swaying counter to the shaking of the building to neutralize the vibrations from the storm. At the prow of the Yuzhong Peninsula, Raffles City rises like a colossal fleet of glass sails. Eight curved towers dominate the riverfront, but the engineering masterpiece hangs 250 meters or 820 feet above the ground. The Crystal is a horizontal skyscraper, bridging the four central structures. Spanning 300 meters or nearly 1,000 feet, this sky bridge is longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall. Inside, a suspended conservatory features fully grown trees and an infinity pool merging with the clouds. The glass-bottom observation deck provides a direct, vertical view of the Yangtze and Jialing rivers colliding far below, turning the busy waterway into a distant abstraction. Constructing this horizontal giant required a method never attempted before at this scale. The structure was divided into segments, each weighing hundreds of tons, which were then hydraulically lifted from the ground and welded together in mid-air. During high winds, the accordion-like joints allow the entire sky bridge to sway slightly, absorbing the energy rather than fighting it. Deep within the arid expanse of the Tenga Desert, a new kind of ocean has appeared. From the air, it looks like a computer-generated glitch, a vast, shimmering blue sea surrounded by endless yellow dunes. This is the Great Wall of Solar, a giant photovoltaic power plant covering nearly 43,000 square kilometers, or 16,600 square miles. Millions of solar panels are arranged in precise geometric grids, harvesting the relentless desert sun. It represents a brutal, industrial approach to renewable energy, proving that even the most hostile, barren wastelands can be engineered into the engine room of a nation. This is the visual definition of the energy transition. China, once dependent entirely on coal, is now blanketing its deserts with silicon. The silence here is profound. Just millions of blue panels silently converting photons into gigawatts. It looks less like a power plant and more like a terraforming project on a distant planet. In the mountainous Guizhou province, navigation faces a vertical problem. The Wu River is blocked by a massive hydroelectric dam. The solution is one of the most complex hydraulic engineering feats in existence. Instead of a traditional lock system, ships here take an elevator. Vessels weighing up to 500 tons enter a water-filled chamber suspended in the air. The system uses 3 separate vertical lifts to hoist the boats over a total height difference of 199 meters, or 653 feet. Watching a cargo ship float inside a steel box while dangling mid-air, hundreds of feet above the river canyon, looks like a glitch in physics. It turns a mountain blockage into a literal highway in the sky for maritime traffic. The system operates like a complex clockwork mechanism. Ships do not just go up, they travel through a navigation bridge channel suspended high above the ground before entering the next descent shaft. The skyline of Beijing serves as the backdrop for a structure that looks less like a building and more like a frozen gymnast. Locals refer to it as Big Pants, but the engineering reality is far more serious. The two leaning towers rise at a 6-degree angle, sharper than the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and merge at a height of 160 meters or 525 feet in the air. The result is a continuous, gravity-defying loop with a massive corner hanging unsupported over the street. During construction, the final steel connection had to be executed at dawn on a specific day to ensure the metal on both sides was the exact same temperature, preventing thermal expansion from ruining the critical alignment. The facade is wrapped in a web of diagonal steel braces that visibly trace the forces traveling through the building. In areas where the stress is higher, the web becomes denser. In the frozen northeast, architecture mimics the elements. The Harbin Opera House does not try to stand out against the landscape. It dissolves into it. Sculpted from white aluminum panels and glass, the undulating form replicates the wind-eroded snow dunes of the surrounding wetlands. There are no sharp angles here, only fluid curves that look as if they were carved by a blizzard. Inside, the stark whiteness gives way to warm Manchurian ash wood, creating an organic cocoon that protects visitors from the sub-zero temperatures outside. Visitors can literally climb the building. A series of carved ramps and staircases allow people to walk up the exterior sloping roof to an observation platform at the top. In the winter sunlight, the aluminum panels sparkle like crystallized frost, blurring the boundary between the frozen Songhua River and the structure itself. On Hengqin Island, the scale of captivity reaches a terrifying magnitude. The centerpiece of this marine park is a single acrylic window, a transparent wall standing nearly 7 stories tall. Behind it lies a volume of water so vast it holds 5 whale sharks simultaneously, along with thousands of manta rays and stingrays. Standing at the base of the glass, visitors are reduced to tiny silhouettes against a blue abyss. The engineering challenge here wasn't just building a tank, but creating a screen thick enough to hold back millions of gallons of pressure while remaining optically perfect. The acrylic is so clear that the barrier seems to vanish, leaving you face to face with the ocean's giants. The lighting inside the tank is designed to replicate the sun rays piercing through deep water, creating a cathedral-like atmosphere where the silence of the deep meets the awe of the crowd. The Yaxi Expressway is a 240-kilometer or 149-mile ribbon of asphalt that spends almost its entire existence suspended in the air. Half of the road consists of tunnels and viaducts, winding through a geological fault line that engineers were warned to avoid. To conquer the drastic elevation gain in a short distance, the road spirals inside the mountains and loops over itself on massive concrete stilts. In winter, the tarmac sits so high that it is permanently enveloped in clouds, forcing drivers to navigate through a white void. It is a lifeline for the region, turning a journey that once took days of dangerous mountain trekking into a few hours of smooth driving. Four domed structures fuse together in the center of Beijing. Designed by Zaha Hadid, the Galaxy SOHO complex creates an environment without a single straight line. Aluminum and stone bands wrap around the spherical volumes, creating a fluid sense of motion that mimics the flow of water or the rings of a planet. Natural light floods the interior through vast atriums, creating a play of shadow and light that changes every hour. The design encourages flow not just of air, but of people. There are no dead ends, only continuous loops that connect retail, office, and entertainment spaces. It reflects a philosophy of seamless connectivity, mirroring the digital world in a physical space. The Yellow Sea hosts a mechanical forest rooted in the seabed off the coast of Jiangsu province. Hundreds of turbines spin in the mist, transforming the open water into a high-voltage power plant. These are not small windmills. The towers stand as tall as skyscrapers, with blades sweeping an area larger than a standard soccer field. The logistics of installation here were staggering. Specialized jack-up vessels had to plant these towers into the seabed while fighting ocean swells. Unlike land-based wind farms, the salt spray and humidity here are corrosive enemies. Every bolt and panel is coated in heavy-duty protective layers, designed to survive 25 years in a marine environment. It is a forest of steel that feeds on the very storms that try to knock it down. A single roof in Sichuan province shelters enough volume to hold 20 Sydney opera houses. The New Century Global Centre stands as the largest building on Earth by floor area, effectively functioning as a hermetically sealed city. The interior features a massive artificial ocean and a quarter-mile-long sandy beach, all under a glass ceiling. A giant LED screen acts as a digital horizon, projecting artificial sunrises and sunsets. Visitors swim and shop in a completely controlled climate, isolated from the actual weather or time of day outside. The air inside even smells different, a mixture of chlorinated water, shopping mall perfume, and artificial sea breeze. It is a testament to total environmental control. You could spend your entire life inside this building, working in an office, sleeping in a hotel, and vacationing on a beach without ever breathing unfiltered air. Laying tracks across the roof of the world required engineers to battle the atmosphere itself. This railway line is more than 5,000 meters, or over 16,400 feet, above sea level, traversing the treacherous Tanggula Pass, where the air is dangerously thin. The trains are custom-built with pressurized cabins and oxygen supply outlets at every seat to prevent passengers from suffering acute altitude sickness. Beneath the rails, the ground is permanently frozen. Cooling pipes act as thermal radiators, driven deep into the soil to keep the permafrost from melting under the heat of the trains and destabilizing the tracks. To protect the fragile ecosystem, engineers built dedicated migration underpasses for the Tibetan antelopes. The trains themselves run quietly to avoid startling the wildlife. Looking out the window, the landscape is a barren, breathtaking canvas of snow-capped peaks and yak herds, a prehistoric view framed by one of the most advanced transportation windows in the world. The rail link between Shanghai and Nanjing does not touch the solid ground for 164 kilometers, about 102 miles. Holding the record as the longest bridge in existence, this is not a crossing over a single obstacle, but a continuous viaduct floating over rice paddies, canals, rivers, and soft soil. The sheer repetition of concrete pillars flashing by the train window creates a hypnotic visual rhythm. A driver travels at highway speeds for nearly 2 hours without ever leaving the bridge deck. This immense viaduct wasn't built just for speed, but to preserve the land below. By elevating the train, engineers saved thousands of acres of fertile farmland and avoided cutting through the complex network of canals that define the Yangtze Delta. It is a floating artery that allows the ancient agricultural life below to continue undisturbed while the bullet trains race overhead toward the future. The world's largest museum dedicated to the cosmos abandons all straight lines and right angles to mimic the geometry of the universe. 3 arcing architectural forms, the oculus, the inverted dome, and the sphere, dominate the structure. The building itself functions as a massive astronomical instrument, tracking the path of the sunlight across the floor like a modern sundial. Walking through the spiraling ramps simulates the gravitational pull of orbital mechanics, guiding visitors in curves rather than linear paths. The oculus, a massive circular hole in the cantilevered roof, acts as a sundial. As the sun moves across the sky, a circle of light travels across the plaza floor, marking the passage of time and seasons. The entire building is essentially a giant astronomical instrument, grounding the visitor in the mechanics of the solar system before they even look through a telescope. Nature distributes water unevenly across mainland China, flooding the south while drying up the north. The engineer's answer was to redraw the map of the country's river systems. This is the largest water diversion project in human history, a network of canals and pipelines stretching thousands of kilometers. The engineering required to move 45 billion cubic meters of water annually involves defying gravity. Massive pumping stations force water to flow uphill, while tunnel boring machines carved pathways directly underneath the rushing current of the Yellow River. It is effectively planetary plumbing, redistributing a vital resource across a continent to keep the taps running in Beijing and Tianjin. While the world was still marveling at the Kong-Zhuhai Bridge, engineers in the Pearl River Delta were already building its successor. This 24-kilometer or 15-mile link is a masterclass in complex problem-solving. It holds world records not just for length, but for width and difficulty. The centerpiece is the underwater tunnel, the widest steel shell concrete tube immersed in the ocean. To prevent water leakage for the next century, engineers developed a new type of self-compacting concrete. The transition from the bridge deck to the undersea tunnel happens on a man-made island shaped like a traditional kite, anchoring the structure against the violent currents of one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. For smaller vessels, waiting for the massive ship locks at the Three Gorges Dam takes too long. The alternative is the world's largest vertical ship elevator. helical gear system lifts a water-filled chamber weighing over 15,000 tons straight up the face of the dam. It raises a ship 113 meters or 370 feet in roughly 40 minutes. Safety mechanisms here are paranoid in their redundancy. If the lift were to fail, massive gear brakes would instantly lock the chamber to the concrete toothed racks, preventing a catastrophic free fall. It is a piece of heavy industrial ballet, moving massive tonnage with the delicate precision of a Swiss watch. The terminal does not look like a piece of infrastructure. It resembles a massive golden starfish sprawling across the plains south of Beijing. Designed by Zaha Hadid, this is the world's largest single-building airport terminal, a continuous flowing volume free of structural columns in the central atrium. Despite the terminal's colossal size, the geometry ensures that the walk from the central core to the furthest gate takes no more than 8 minutes. It is a space station for commercial aviation, capable of handling 72 million passengers annually. The roof is pierced by bubble-like skylights that channel natural light deep into the terminal, reducing the need for artificial lighting during the day. Known as the Phoenix, to complement the dragon of the old capital airport, its golden skin glows warmly in the sunset. The sharp, knife-edge profile of this skyscraper cuts a distinct silhouette against the Lujiazui district. A massive trapezoidal aperture at the peak gives the building its popular nickname, the bottle opener. This void serves a critical purpose. It relieves the immense wind pressure whipping around the tower at 492 meters, or 1,614 feet. Standing on the glass-floored observation deck, suspended above the hole, offers a vertigo-inducing view straight down into the heart of the financial machine. At this altitude, you can actually feel the building sway slightly on windy days, a calculated flexibility that keeps it from snapping. The aperture at the top was originally circular, but was changed to a trapezoid to ease construction and reduce weight. It stands as a sharp, minimalist counterpoint to the ornate Jinmao Tower next door. The terminus for high-speed rail in Hong Kong buries its platforms deep underground. But opens its roof to the sky. Huge curved steel beams support thousands of glass panels, flooding the station hall with natural light. Visitors can walk directly onto the station roof for panoramic views of the harbour. It serves as the physical connector between the island metropolis and the mainland's massive high-speed network, marking the final stop of the journey. Above the station, a massive green roof park provides a quiet escape in one of the world's densest cities. It symbolizes the modern approach to infrastructure, hiding the heavy machinery underground to give the surface back to the people. These steel dragons and glass towers have changed the skyline, but they haven't lost the spirit of the landscape. They bridge the gap between the ancient world and the avant-garde. China is no longer just a destination. It is a front-row seat to tomorrow. Come and take in the view.